Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mark and this is my Ferrari 308 GTS. Now just a quick recap, I was going to do some light cosmetic upgrades just to tidy the car up through the 20 odd years of use that it's given me. But while stripping the front away, I realised we needed to get some welding done and there was some rust under there that needed treating and protecting as well. But also, whilst the front was open, I took the radiators out and the cooling fans to give them the once over whilst I had the space. And today I'm going to start with the cooling fans because I've got them stripped down just here. We've got both fans split down into their individual components. On the back there we've got the fan that didn't spin as freely, and this is the one that spun up quite nicely. They are slightly different, as I pointed out before. The most obvious difference is the housing. This is one piece, whereas this comes with a lid, two pieces, but apart from that they look quite similar. Starting from right to left, we've got two bolts that hold the housing to the base, holds it all together. We've then got a thread with a lock nut on it as well, which sits in the lid. My understanding of that is you tighten it up against the shaft here, which stops it moving around. But you've got to be careful not to over tighten it, because when these start working and get hot, they expand, and then too much friction on there might end up damaging it. So we've got the shaft running through the middle, and then we have got the coil with the copper windings. As you can see here, these are all completely black, as is the top of the coil as well. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. In front of that, we've got the copper commutator. Yeah, I think that's right. Again, very worn, very black there. This one doesn't look too bad. I think it will clean up quite nicely. Then we've got the lid that's got the brushes in it. These are graphite brushes that are both spring loaded, both the same. I can get new ones of those, so I will do. The cable is just soldered on, which will be interesting because my soldering is atrocious. And then the fans at the front look quite similar as well. They've both got Moplan written on them, but I think these are Lucas fans. So once I strip this out, I might know more. This fan's got paint on it, but it is actually silver plastic. So I think I can just try and take a lot of that off and clean it up. So first of all, I'm going to have a go at cleaning this one up. I think this one should clean up and work quite nicely and quite easily. And then I need to delve into this one a bit deeper. As you can see by the pile of debris here, this is what fell out of this one. Most of it feels like the sort of the graphite of the brushes, but it could be more against what fell out of this one. It could be that that was just not maintained, and you know, this is years and years of build-up. But let's see how we get on. Right, well, I can confirm that they are Lucas. We've got Lucas England written along the bottom there on the back of both of them. And then now I've taken the inside apart, there's a serial number there as well. So it'd be interesting to see what the serial number of that is. And that's just sitting below this plate. Now to clean this up, I've just used a piece of 320 grade paper, because that's what I had to hand. But as you can see, that's come up nice. Well, I've made a start and I'm pretty pleased with the way that this one has come up. I mean, that just looks brand new. I managed to get the overspray off of that, and that's looking okay. Like I say, it's a great plastic, so I don't really want to paint that if I can help it. This has come up really nice, and I'm going to paint that because it's got a spot of rust on it. It has been painted previously, but that again has come up okay. It has got this nice, I think it's anodized finish on it, but because it's magnets inside, I didn't really want to put it into the cleaner just in case it messed the magnets up. Again, the bolts have come up pretty well. So this one is ready to go back together again once I get the new brushes, although, as I said before, I'm a bit concerned having to solder on the wires because my soldering is atrocious. Let's see how this one comes up. Look at this, I'm only part way through it. You wouldn't even know it was the same part. Still got a way to go, but wow, really impressed with the way that's come up. Following the clean up, I am amazed by how some of it has come up. This is the sort of newer one, but again, you know, it's all come up pretty well. I'm going to give these a coat of paint. These are slightly different. I thought this was black with sort of soot and what have you, but it actually looks like it's a bit of a coating on it. But again, it's all come up really nicely, and you know, it's got to be worth a try. On this side, this plate is a little bit corroded on some of these joins, so that's my only sort of real question mark about whether that is salvageable. But yeah, everything else has come up okay. This one, I think I'm going to have to paint these because although this one's cleaned up nicely, you know, whatever was on here is starting to come off. So I think if I just treat them both and give them both a lick of paint, then we can start putting it back together. But overall, pleased with that. So while I wait for the cooling fan brushes to arrive, we can get on with installing the heater fan that was missing. That has now arrived thanks to Superformance, which is going to sit behind this plate here. So the heater blower in place, all looks good. I've got the earth connected up there, but I've got a bit of an issue when it comes to the supply. So there is a single connection just in here, but the cable that's feeding it is a double socket. Now these cables go back to the fan switch in the cockpit, and one of them comes on with speed number 1 on the switch, and then when you flick it to the higher speed, then the power disappears from this one and then comes into this one. Now my wiring diagram shows a single cable, but I have seen online another wiring diagram that shows a twin cable, then one of these coming out direct and another one coming out via a resistor, and then they both join and then both connect into here. But I don't know whether this resistor is further along there, because there's certainly nothing here. On the other side, somebody has connected one of these cables to the blower, which means that it works on fan position 1, but when you flick it up to fan position 2, there's just no power and it just turns itself off. So I'm going to measure the voltage here, see if there is like a difference, and so which might mean the resistor is further back into the car. One of the ports, I've got the fan switch to position number 1, and that's reading 11.75 volts. And then connected to the other side on fan speed number 2, I've got 11.6. So that's telling me pretty much that the same amount of voltage is coming out of both of these, and that position number 1 should have a resistor on it, which basically reduces the fan speed. This is a single speed fan, as I understand, and the way it's cabled is fan speed number 2 will let this run at normal full speed, and then position number 1, that it goes through the resistor, but I've got to find out what this resistor is, will then reduce the speed of this by reducing the voltage that's feeding it. Well, there you go, guys. It's a bit of a strange one. I have spoken to the supplier of the fan, and they said they've never had this query before. I've spoken to 2 Ferrari specialists, and again, they were unaware of this resistor. I put some feelers out onto the Ferrari chat forums as well, which is where I got, there's a historic chat a few years ago, which is where I got the idea of this resistor, that somebody had posted up a picture of it. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe they can get back to me with some ideas. I think it's just a quirk of this particular age of car, or perhaps just the early carburettor cars. The later ones just seem to have that single wire coming to it as well. So if anybody's got any ideas, if anyone's aware of this resistor, what it looks like, the part number would be amazing, then please do get in touch. I would love to hear about it. Now I know this isn't the final solution, but for now I've just put a jumper between each of the ports going into the fan, which will mean the fan will operate whether the switch is on speed 1 or speed position number 2. Obviously the fan will rotate at the same speed no matter which way it's on, but at least it's going to work for the time being until I find the actual answer to this. Well, no one's going to give me any marks for neatness, but they're on, they're secure. My first successful solder ever. I'm quite chuffed with it. So now we can start putting it back together again. I'm going to do it in a different order, but there's a reason for that, and I'm going to come back to that later. So there's the first fan ready to go back onto the car. I think that's come up quite well. I am going to remake these cable ends as well. You see one of them's been replaced with a slightly newer red variant. I've got some on order. They're not going to match the existing exactly, but they're going to be a lot closer, and the covers are kind of clear on it as well. So the only thing left to go on that now is the vibration or anti-vibration rubber ring that slots into there, and now that can go back into the car. So the reason I put together one of those cooling fans with a mix of the 2 parts that I had was down to this. Now this came up on eBay about the time I was putting those back together again, and it's the same outer body as the original one from here. It's even stamped 1979, which is perfect for this. So my plan is to strip this down, use the best of both lots of components that I've got now, and rebuild this up so then I'll have 2 matching fans, correctly dated and fully refurbished. So I'm pretty chuffed with that. Even internally, look how clean that all is. I mean, that's just great. And now that the second fan has been refreshed and is ready to go back into the car. Well, that's about all we've got time for this video, but we have managed to get those cooling fans refreshed and back into the car. We've even managed to get the missing heater fan fitted as well, although there's still the question mark over the resistor. In the next video, I'm going to be looking at refreshing the radiators, getting them back into the car, and hopefully getting the car back onto the road. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, cheerio.